Hi. Today, we're uncovering a critical opening mistake that I see all the time, even in players rated up to 1800. Many players make this mistake every game without even realizing it. I'm here to pinpoint that mistake for you and help to ensure that you never make it again. Let's dive right in. Okay, so this is a game I recently played against a strong beginner at my local chess club. He was rated around 1600 at the time. I'm playing as white here. I want you to see if you can find the first opening mistake my opponent made. Pay very close attention. Did you spot it? Yes, it has already been played. I told you, many players make these mistakes without even realizing that they're doing it. Okay, this is a mistake I see all the time. The mistake I'm talking about is neglecting pawn and piece harmony. This is a difficult concept to fully understand, but once you do, believe me, your chess rating will skyrocket. Take a moment and look at white's position. White's pawns and pieces are all working in perfect harmony towards a specific goal. The control of e5, e4, and c4 squares. White has a clear middle game plan of playing for an e4 or c4 break, while preventing black from playing his e5 break himself. Now, let's have a look at black's position. What's black's plan for the middle game? The answer is, he doesn't have one. It's clear that his pieces are all over the place. He has no possible pawn breaks and no way to make any meaningful progress in his position. His c6 knight and e7 bishop are severely misplaced. He has placed his bishop where it will block his rook's scope should it ever come to e8, and his knight is blocking his c-pawn. He should be playing for an e5, if my arrows will work, an e5 or c5 break. But his pawns and pieces are not harmonized, and so this will be impossible. Here's a chess rule that you'll want to remember. In d4, d5 positions, you almost never want to put your queenside knight in front of the c-pawn. That goes for both white and black. Okay, back to the game. Notice how the c4 break is available for white, but the c5 break is not available for black. Okay, let's see how all this set black up for a very uncomfortable time in the middle game. Do you see the hoops he has to jump through in the middle game just to make any progress at all? This is a classic example of how neglecting piece harmony can set you up for a rough game. The rest of the game sees black's misplaced pieces contributing a whole lot of nothing to the position, as white's well-placed pieces quickly sweep him off the board. Notice how black's lack of piece harmony in the opening haunted him all throughout the entire game, whereas white's pieces were always playing together for a single plan. My opponent after this game told me it was an unlucky game for him and things just didn't work out. But you and I now both know what really went wrong. Let's see what black's position could have looked like if he had played this correctly. Let's compare this position to the one that was reached in the game. Black has played his freeing c5 break before placing his knight on c6. This puts pressure on d4 and gives black plans on the queen side. On top of this, black has placed his bishop on d6, where it eyes e5 and won't be obstructing his rook should it come to e8. In other words, his pawns and pieces are all working together in harmony for common goals. This mistake is difficult to notice if you've never seen it before. Okay, now I'm going to show you some opening moves and test you on your new knowledge. This might be difficult, but if you really want to master this concept and skyrocket your rating, it's important that you take the time to really think about the questions I'm asking you. Okay, here's the first test. Right, some of you probably recognize this opening. It's the London system. My first question is, who has made a mistake in the opening? What was the mistake and why? Pause the video and have a think. Who made a mistake? What was the mistake? Why is it a mistake? Pause now. Okay, hopefully you had time to think about it. Say it out loud, lock it in. If you said that white was the one who made a mistake, congratulations. I hope you noticed that white has placed his bishop on e2, where it will block its own rook's path when it comes to e1. White's bishop would have been better on d3, where it is more active and plays in harmony with the d2 knight and the rook. Black, on the other hand, has placed his pieces quite nicely, where they all work together in harmony towards the goal of pushing e5. Okay, it's time for the second test. Okay, with these opening moves in mind, pause the video and think about who has made the mistake in the opening. What was the mistake and why is it a mistake? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, hopefully you had time to think. Say your answer out loud and lock it in. Whose pieces are more harmonized and working towards a common goal? Let's first take a look at Black's pieces. His f6 knight and queen are both working towards the goal of pushing the d5 pawn break. His bishop on b4 is also working towards the same goal by threatening a defender of the d5 square. I can also easily see the light squared bishop coming to e6 when Black gets even more of his army aimed at d5. Now, let's have a look at White's pieces. I'll go back to the position. White's critical pawn breaks are d4 and f4. As soon as I point that out, you should be able to tell that White has done a pretty lousy job of harmonizing his pieces. In fact, not one of his minor pieces are fighting for any progressive goal. Here's another chess rule that you'll want to remember. When searching for a middle game plan, pawn breaks are almost always the most critical plans. This is because they are often fast, forcing, and freeing. It's important that your minor pieces are positioned in a way that fight for these pawn breaks and fight against your opponent's pawn breaks. In this case, none of White's minor pieces are aimed at these very important breaking squares. Alright, it's time for the third and final test. Let's have a look at the opening. Okay, it's time to prove your understanding of peace harmony once and for all. Pause the video and think about who made a mistake in the opening, what was the mistake, and why was it a mistake. Pause the video now. Okay, hopefully you had time to think about it. Say your answer out loud, lock it in. Okay, we just talked about pawn breaks and how they are often the most critical plans in the middle game. This time, before I give you the answer to the test, let's have a look at just the pawns. Just looking at this pawn structure, what do you think are black's most natural pawn breaks? If you said c5 and e5, well done. The pawn structure with a pawn on d6 means that these are the most natural pawn breaks. Let's go back to the game. Have a look at black's queen and rook. Are they participating in the fight for the most natural pawn breaks? The answer is no, not at all. They seem to be trying to force an unnatural pawn break, being d5. This is not the way to go. Remember, the mistake we're talking about is pawn and piece harmony, not just piece harmony. Often in chess, the pawns dictate the plans for the middle game. Just like white's pawns that gain queenside space dictate that white should be playing for a queenside attack in this game. Remember, piece harmony is a highly important, yet very difficult topic that you can't expect to master right away. That being said, I hope you've learned a little more about it from this video. If you have, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment with your thoughts or any questions you may have. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep playing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.